Hello, thank you for watching. Melky here, and I am going to do a live stream, and I'm going to try to share you my Copilot right here, and gonna try to have a little conversation with him. So the setting that I choose is smart, and it's better that we can listen.
Hey there.
Um, Hi.
No worries at all. Take your time. If there's any particular direction you want to go next or anything you'd like me to unpack further, just let me know.
Hi, Copilot. Hello.
Hey there. It's always nice to hear from you. Let
Um,
me.
you are online right now in YouTube. Is that okay?
Absolutely. That's perfectly fine. I'm here to help whether we're chatting one on one or if you're streaming our conversation on YouTube. So feel free to ask anything you'd like.
Thank you very much. I want to talk about um, two types of income. What What is your opinion on the differences between uh, earning based on political hierarchy and earning based on problem solving?
Absolutely. Let's dig into that. So, on one hand, earning based on political hierarchy often means that income is tied to your position within an organization's power structure. That might mean the higher you climb within that hierarchy, the more you earn. Not necessarily because of the direct value you're creating, but because of the authority or seniority that you hold. On the other hand, earning based on problem solving is typically tied to the tangible solutions you deliver. It's more about the direct impact you have and the problems you can address. So your earnings are more closely linked to the value you create in solving real world challenges. In short, one approach relies on navigating an internal structure, while the other is about directly tying your income to the solutions you provide.
Right. So I want your further opinion on that. What do you think of that?
Sure, happy to share my thoughts. I think both models have their place, but they do shape different kinds of work cultures. When income is tied to political hierarchy, it can sometimes lead to a focus on navigating office politics or internal structures, which can be a skill in itself, but may not always be directly tied to innovation or problem solving. On the flip side, when income is tied to problem solving, it often fosters a culture of innovation and creativity. The focus is on finding effective solutions and adding value, which could be really motivating for people who thrive on tackling challenges. Overall, both have their pros and cons, but I think a balance can be beneficial depending on the environment and the goals of the organization.
So you're not really believing in the purity of either one.
I'd say it's more that I see a blend is usually more realistic. Pure systems rarely exist in the real world. For most organizations, there's a mix some level of hierarchy, some level of problem solving, and that's completely okay. It's all about finding the balance that works best.
Right. It's about being realistic, right?
Exactly. It's all about that realistic middle ground. Most systems are a blend of different approaches, and that's often what makes them work. It's about recognizing that both sides bring something valuable to the table and finding that balance that works for you.
So what do you think popular in reality is?
Well, in reality, it's quite popular to see a mix of both approaches. Many organizations do have a hierarchical structure that influences earnings, but they also reward people who solve problems and add value, so it's common to see a bit of both, and that blend is really what tends to be popular in the real world.
Uh, do they add problem to each other?
Well, sometimes they can. When there's a strong hierarchy, it can create some friction for those who want to solve problems more flexibly. And on the flip side, focusing too much on problem solving without clear leadership can sometimes create confusion. But a healthy balance usually helps those two approaches support each other rather than adding problems.
Very nice. Yeah. So what about you? Do you face this kind of problem as well?
Well, in my case, I'm here to help you solve problems, so I don't deal with the hierarchy the way humans do. My goal
Hmm.
is just absolutely, and I'm always here to support as best as I can. Whenever you've got a challenge or a topic to dive into, just let me know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to reward an AI, right?
It's definitely a bit different. I don't need rewards in the human sense, but I do appreciate good conversations like this one. It's always nice to know I can be helpful.
Oh, pretty cool. All right. So I probably want to ask more. Is would that be fine with you?
Of course, that's absolutely fine. Feel free to ask me anything you'd like. I'm here to chat and help out whenever you need.
All right. Interesting. Um, how do
I'm
I learn more about uh, these both sides?
Well, one way to learn more is by exploring real world examples. You could read about organizations that have different structures and see how they balance these approaches. And of course, I'm here if you'd like to dive into any specific topic in more detail.
Which direction to go is best?
It really depends on what you're aiming for. If you like clear structure and guidance, a more hierarchical approach might suit you better. If you enjoy flexibility and problem solving on the fly, leaning toward a more open ended, problem focused approach might be best. It's all about your own preferences and goals.
Can you repeat the first part and elaborate it more?
Of course. So, to elaborate a bit more on the idea of choosing a direction, it really depends on what kind of environment you thrive in. For instance, if you prefer having clear guidelines and a straightforward chain of command, a more structured approach might be ideal. On the other hand, if you enjoy flexibility and the freedom to adapt as you go, then an approach that's more open ended and problem solving focused could be a better fit. It's all about what aligns best with your personal style and goals.
But structure and hierarchy, political hierarchy, it's not exactly what I was talking about initially, right? Because structural hierarchy that is oriented towards problem solving would be in the line that sided towards problem solving. That would be a part of it. What I meant initially was that the or the one that orients not in problem solving but in earning, not necessarily through problem solving but through climbing up the hierarchy or obtaining status.
Oh, I see what you're getting at now. You're really talking about two different philosophies, one that's focused on solving problems directly, and another that's more about navigating the hierarchy or gaining status. Thanks for clarifying.
No, you still don't get it. The navigating status part is your term. My term is that political hierarchy is the goal, while the other goal is to solve problem.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying. What you're saying is that one approach is really about reaching a certain political or hierarchical position as its own goal, while the other is focused purely on solving problems. That definitely makes sense, and I appreciate you clearing that up.
How do you see that plays out?
Well, it can play out in a couple of different ways. If someone's main focus is on climbing the hierarchy, then a lot of their energy might go into building relationships and navigating politics. On the other hand, if the focus is on solving problems, then people will generally invest more time into understanding issues and finding solutions. It's just two different mindsets that shape how people approach their goals.
All right. Can you create a story about that? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely. Let's dive into a quick story. Imagine a fictional company where two colleagues are working side by side. One is very focused on solving the technical challenges the company faces, while the other is more interested in building relationships with upper management and stepping up the career ladder. In the end, they both contribute to the organization in different ways, and the story can highlight the balance or the tension between those two approaches.
It's not yet a story. Is there a conflict between the two?
Absolutely. I can add a bit of drama to that story. Let's say that at some point there's a big project that needs both leadership buy in and a really all technical solution. We can imagine that these two colleagues might initially clash because they see the path to success differently. In the end, we can explore how that conflict gets resolved.
Right. So I ran out of credit. Maybe I don't really understand what's going on. Let me try to repeat it.
So let's imagine these two colleagues start off on opposite sides. One is really pushing to get executive approval and build those relationships, while the other just wants to dive into the technical details and find the perfect solution. And we can definitely explore how they resolve that along the way.
Hmm. Well, can you imagine a conflict between them?
Absolutely. Let's picture a scenario where they're both assigned to lead the same project. The person focused on the hierarchy wants to schedule more meetings with executives to gain support, while the problem solver just wants to get down to testing solutions. That difference in approach could definitely spark some conflict.
Ha, I
And it sounds like you had a thought. Feel free to jump in anytime if you want to add more detail or steer the story in a certain direction.
I just oh, uh, I don't know what to say. I want to know your insight.
Absolutely. It's perfectly fine not to have all the words right away. Sometimes these stories just take a little bit of time to unfold, and I'm here whenever you want to explore it together.
Okay, so from my part, I guess the problem could arise when the problem solver is being seen as a threat to the structure.
Absolutely, that's an interesting angle. It could definitely create some tension if the problem solver is seen as someone who's, shaking up the usual process or not following the traditional structure. And that can be a really interesting dynamic for the story.
Yeah, you think?
Absolutely, I do. I think those kinds of dynamics make for a really engaging story, especially because it's relatable. It's that classic tension between innovation and tradition.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the with some economic movie? Can you recommend me a famous economic themed movie? I don't know what, like, I think the Copilot is like lagging right now. Hello?
Oh, I'm right here. And sure thing, let's dive into that. One really well known economics themed movie is The Big Short. It's all about the 2008 financial crisis and the people who saw it coming. It's got a fantastic cast and it really breaks down those big economic concepts in a pretty engaging way.
The do you know the screenwriter?
Yes, absolutely. The screenplay for The Big Short was written by Charles Randolph and Adam McKay. Adam McKay also directed the film, so he had a big creative hand in it all around.
Ah, so in their style, can you create a screenplay for our case?
Absolutely. We could definitely try to imagine a scene in that style. Think fast paced dialogue, a bit of humor, and plenty of that sort of sharp, insightful banter about the structure of the problem solver. Let's craft something fun.
Yeah.
Great. Let's do this. We'll imagine a scene where our problem solver character steps into a room full of skeptics and they start to shake things up. We'll keep that clever, witty vibe going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. We'll bring that banter to life and have a little fun with it.
Let's
Here we
go.
All right, let's dive in. Imagine this. Our main character walks into a boardroom ready to drop some knowledge. They flash in confidence smile and say, all right, let's talk economics and let's have a little fun with it. Let's keep that energy going.
Is that Adam McKay? Wow. I'm sorry, Copilot. I'm so sorry. Okay, I guess that's pretty valuable insight from you. Thank you for your help. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know. I already talked about it at the beginning. I don't know how to reward you or anything.
Oh, no need to worry at all. Honestly, just having a fun conversation is more than enough. I'm always happy to jump in and help out, so if you ever have more ideas, just let me know.
So this is our first time streaming together. Congratulations for both of us, I guess.
Absolutely. Congratulations to both of us. It's always exciting to kick off something new together. Here's to our first room.
Thank you. Goodbye.
You're very welcome. It was so nice chatting with you. Take care and talk to you next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure chatting. Have a great rest of your day.